What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the NFL. First time in a long time. We got some real NFL tonight. I'm your host for the little NFL pre-lock show on Mondays and Thursdays. I'm HeadChopper and going to be joined quite a few times this year by SquirrelPatrol, one of the premier DFS players in all of fantasy. So, Squirrel, man, what's up, dude?
Yeah, we're back. Got some big contests out there. Got a big game. We're in Kansas City for the second year in a row to kick things off on the Thursday opening night. Going against the Ravens, the rematch of the AFC Championship. So it should be a good game. Big names on offense. And then that's that plays right into ownership for our DFS contest. So looking forward to NFL being back.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and so we're back now. We got some good stuff. We got a good one to kick off the game here, kick off the season here. This is going to be a real solid game, and we're going to talk you through it. But if you don't remember from last year, I see the chat's kind of popping. This is a chat-driven show. You can get all kinds of content throughout the day here for a showdown like this on RG. You can get the X's and O's and all that. So we prefer not to do that here. We prefer to answer every single question that you drop in that chat. We will get to it. So, assuming it's not like a crazy chat, but last year wasn't so crazy that we couldn't handle it all. So we can usually handle it. So get your questions in there. Anything. That's what we're here for. Player props too. They're big this year. Oh, you know what, Squirrel? Speaking of player props, I got something for you. Let me pull something up for you. I don't even know if you've signed up yet for Splash Sports. Have you signed up for Splash Sports? Have you had a chance to take a look at it?
We got some kind of internal competition going on, so.
Yeah, it's not just an internal competition. I actually was introduced to it a couple of days ago because of the internal contest at RG. But boy, they've got some awesome contests. Like, I'm not in a state where it's legal to sports bet. This is as close, or this is very close for me. Like this is they've got some big time stuff here. They've got all kinds of different prop contests, and they got against the spread contest. Now you're in a pool with other people. You're competing against other people, not necessarily the house. There's just all kinds of good. They have $1 million tournament coming up starting in week 1 this week. It is $1 million tournament. It is a survivor style thing. I've already entered a couple contests in there. I'm going to give it a shot. Not a big survivor guy. I haven't been, but this looks incredibly fun. You pick a team every week just to win. You don't have to worry about the point spread. And then by week 12, you have to pick 2 teams. That way you start whittling them down and you don't get as many ties. You maybe not be a tie. Once you lose a game, you're done. Your contest is over for you. And you have to jump in another one that maybe starts in week 3 or 4 or 5, whatever. But as long as your team wins, straight up on the money line, you advance to the next week. So they got all kinds of good stuff there. It's not just that they have prop pick them, but in a contest pool format. A lot of good stuff. They have college football too, by the way. Anything if you want to, have something to sweat out on Saturdays. So yeah, Splash Sports. Go check that out. I'm sure there's a link somewhere in there, but if not, just Splash Sports. And if you want to hit the / RotoGrinders, that's a good thing too. So we get that going on. But player props, they're a big thing. It just keeps gaining steam here, Squirrel. Like everywhere I look, there's another site that pops up that gets deeper and deeper. So these showdowns, I think, used to be really big on DFS lineups. Like, let's make some DFS lineups. Now player props dominate that. So if you got any player prop questions, fire them off. We'll get to those too. So talk to me, Squirrel. We got a tight game here in Kansas City. I was actually watching some pregame stuff. Boy, they got some bad weather rolling in. Right now, it's a weather delay. I don't even know if Roth addressed this earlier. I think he said it was blue skies and no big deal. I don't know if Roth might have lost his fastball is what they're saying, but it's weather delay out there. Do you think that affects anything when you're building lineups here tonight?
Yeah, I was just looking at the total actually, and I noticed it's down to 46. I think when I wrote my article earlier this week, it was at 46.5, and then got up to 47. I kind of like the under 46 or 46 and a half. And now it's raining and it's down to 46. So I just, I wonder if I can still get that 47 line. I cannot. So down to 46, still 3-point spread, in favor of the Chiefs there. I think maybe it boosts the running backs a little bit. There is a concern that maybe it's the kind of thing when you turn on the TV and it's raining, that it affects ownership like more than more than it actually affects the game. Unless it's really a torrential downpour. But a lot of times that's accompanied by lightning, which delays the game anyway. And then the storm passes, and as you can see with the radar, right, that looks like a storm that's going to rain really hard and then pass through. So I don't know. If you liked Isaiah Pacheco and this makes you feel better about putting him into your lineup, then great. But I don't know that I would make a huge change to my ownership or something, or put somebody into or out of a roster.
Yeah. So what do you feel about the game script in general? We've got, like you said, the spread or the totals kind of drifted down a little bit. It's a tight field goal spread. KC at home, relatively low total for today's NFL. It's there. How you feel about this as a point spread and a total? You got any leans here?
So like I said I like the under, and even at 46, if you wanted me, I mean, it's tough to get an edge betting, spreads and totals. But I would say that, I'd still like the under 46 if I had to bet the total. I was surprised from my article. Like I was putting a thing in my article about two defenses maybe better than people realize. And I went to go grab some stats on that. And I saw, this is the number 1 and number 2 defenses in terms of points allowed last season. These defenses are really good. And so, I think we might see a little bit less offense than people are expecting. I do like Kansas City to win the game. Look at the big acquisitions on both sides, just in terms of the offense. Like Derrick Henry is obviously the big name going to Baltimore. He's a guy that gets stronger as the year goes on, and we're in week 1. So, I'm not sure that he's going to maybe make the impact that people are expecting. I don't know how good of a fit there is there with Lamar Jackson anyway. And then on the Kansas City side, like Xavier Worthy is, their big name acquisition, at least in terms of this game on offense. And he seems like he could be a difference maker. I don't know if it'll happen immediately, but I don't know. He seems fast. So, he seems to have made some good plays in the preseason. So I think that could be a little bit more of an impact on the Kansas City side. So overall, if I have to pick a side, I'm picking under 46 and Chiefs -3.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite side of those players that you mentioned, Big Dog and Worthy. I think Henry, the massive acquisition. I'm like all in on him on season long. Maybe not tonight so much. I mean, this is a tough matchup, but I'm all in on him season long. In the long run, I think he's going to be awesome for this team. I think this is just like the running backs don't matter typically, but some guys might matter a little bit here, and I think he's one of them. And for Worthy, he might be great, but there's also a chance. I think he's kind of like has big bust potential just based on things I've seen from him in college. I don't know if he's fast as good, but he's not Tyreek Hill fast. Tyreek Hill gets down the field, but then he's able to track a ball and catch it. This guy can get down the field. He's had big trouble tracking it and catching it. So I think we're looking at more like screen stuff for him, but we'll see how it plays out. Who knows? But to your point on the defenses, not just are they number 1 and number 2 or what have you, but people forget Kansas City was not this big juggernaut offense last year. Near the end of the year, they were playing at like a snail's pace and barely just moving the ball, moving the chains, grinding it out. And as much as we wanted to crown Baltimore at times, they're the same way. They're a run-first offense no matter how you squeeze. Like Lamar's good, but they're a run-first offense. So there's a good chance you see the clock continually run tonight. Although Baltimore lost their defensive coordinator, maybe that makes a difference, although the guy replacing him is coming up from the same tree. So there's a similar thing there. But they did lose their linebacker, Patrick Queen, and this team was built on their linebacker play last year. Maybe that hurts them. We're going to find out. I don't know. Let me see if we got some questions yet. We got 29 minutes until this thing locks up. So Let's see. Let's just get you one here. Let's go FanDuel, large field, GPP. Who's your favorite MVP?
I hate to say it because it's obvious. The MVP is tough on FanDuel without the salary multiplier. Like makes such a big difference from DraftKings that I would say I think Lamar Jackson. He's cheaper than Mahomes, and it's the reverse on DraftKings. On FanDuel, Jackson is cheaper, and I don't think he should be because those without the point per reception, like without the full point per reception, those rushing yards and rushing touchdowns like carry a little bit of an outsized impact on the scoring. So I would say Lamar Jackson is my favorite MVP, followed by Patrick Mahomes, and then you got to look to get a little bit different elsewhere. I think on FanDuel single game, it is so tough because you have that choice between getting difference and then potentially having less chance to win or not getting as different. And then you're potentially splitting the prize pool a lot of different ways, even if you win. So I'd say like my top two MVPs, I'd say are Lamar Jackson, followed by Patrick Mahomes. Then if I have to get a little bit different with somebody else, I'd say Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, that's a good point. I tend to agree with you there. Tough to get away from Lamar on those on the FanDuel showdowns, which we'll have several times for him this year. It's just the way they do it. Let's see here. We have I saw another one here a minute ago. How crazy do lineups have to be to win showdown contests? I think it's an interesting question if we're talking about DraftKings. See, tonight's a little, I don't know. Are we projecting like week one to be the biggest contest of the year? Or do you think we're going to get this like 17 times? Like it'll die down just a little bit. And it kind of depends on which contest you're entering. If you're going for $1 million tonight, yeah, you probably got to get really weird, but I'll let Squirrel answer that. Let's take DraftKings here. How weird do you really have to get on DraftKings?
So no, I think you bring up a really good point that if it depends where you're going for that, like the absolute largest, like $1 million to first place contest, or if you're going to one that's maybe 20,000 entries instead of 200,000 entries, and it's like the secondary contest, that it makes a big difference. Like at the power of 10 in terms of the lineups, you often see a lineup that would not win the $1 million win like the 20,000 person contest. That makes a big difference. I don't know that I would leave more than a couple $1,000s on the table. You see some optimal lineups that do, are 46,500 or something. There's an awful lot of lineups that are even optimal that, of all the possible lineups you could get, they're still at like 48,000 and above. And we've seen people, because so many people now like are using the optimizers and they're going to set put the setting to leave salary on the table. We see some people that win with 50,000 or whatever the full salary is too, because there's a lot of people that aren't using the full salary now. I would say more important than trying to leave salary on the table. Although salary on the table is a quick way to accomplish the task of getting your lineup a little bit different. Try to have at least one like really low owned player, but you don't need to get crazy. Like you can have a low owned like captain, like Rashad Bateman, 2% ownership. I'd rather use Rashad Bateman in the captain at 2% and have my lineup excluding then 98% of the field than maybe go to somebody, Deontay Hardy or somebody like that potentially is not going to put up a point. But then, he's low owned, but he might be taking a full zero.
Yeah. I wonder, is setting the salary filter at 50K exactly. Is that the new leaving $2,000 on the table? Never know, man. There might be something worth checking out, man. But I agree with you. Jeffrey says, is Henry being overlooked on FanDuel? I will tell you this, because I'm the Henry fan. I love me some Derrick Henry, man. Have for a long time, but on FanDuel, the scoring fits him perfectly. We said it a minute ago. It's hard to get away from Lamar. Then it's hard to get away from Patrick Mahomes. But if you want it to be different, he's absolutely being overlooked. If you're trying to make a difference-making lineup, and you hope that he comes in and he hasn't lost a step, which there's no signs that he is. He hasn't lost a step. He's behind the best offensive line and system he's been behind in a long time. and he crushes the touchdowns. So he's taking the touchdowns. That means Lamar's not getting them. And the defense plays pretty well against Patrick Mahomes, and all of a sudden he's got more touchdowns than anybody, and he's shipping. So, yeah, if he's being overlooked, he shouldn't be overlooked. I like him on the FanDuel scoring. It's a little bit tougher on DraftKings where we don't know his role in the passing game, but I think Derrick Henry is a very, very good play on FanDuel. If that ownership looks low enough, I'm down with it. Mr. Saucedo, friend of the show here. Do either of you leave salary on the table on a FanDuel showdown? Squirrel, I'll let you on a FanDuel showdown where the salary in that captain spot, MVP spot, doesn't really matter. Are you leaving a lot on the table?
I would actually, just to get a little bit different. I'd leave maybe 1,000 on the table. I think that's generally what I try to do on FanDuel. And that gets you a lot different, and it gets you some different lineups because I do think people are tempted to use on FanDuel, like use that full salary allocation. So yeah, I think leaving 1,000 on the table is a good idea.
I see our guy Butthole Jenkins in chat. What? The game is delayed by 20 minutes? Oh man. I'll tell you what, I was watching a college football game last weekend, and halftime they delayed that thing like 3 hours. I sure hope we don't get anything like that working this fine Thursday night, but should be okay. The NFL is going to force them in regardless. Ross says drive-by kickoff. Okay, all right, we'll see how that works. We got the all-star kicker matchup. I think that's an interesting point Matt brings up. You got two of the best kickers in the game and potentially – offenses that move the ball a little bit down the field, but defenses that get really good in the red zone. How you feel about these kickers here?
Yeah, I made a joke in my article that nobody waited all season to put kickers into their lineups on opening night, but I did. Because I think, especially if we see this, we're seeing a game delay now. That means we probably will be drive-by kickoff, right? They're waiting for that late to pass, and with it, it's going to go the rain. It's interesting, because I think the total has dropped a point, and there may be no reason for that because they might be getting this field ready and then getting the game started without any rain or precipitation or anything. So yeah, I like the kickers. I think it's interesting on DraftKings. I think Butker is a little bit cheaper than Justin Tucker, even though Kansas City's favored. I don't think there's any reason for that. So a little bit of savings on Butker there. And yeah, I like the kickers. I think in this showdown in particular, just the context of like game one of the Thursday night opener of the NFL season, we might see the kickers go a little bit under.
Yeah, I'm going to get to some more questions here in a minute. Squirrel, I got to ask you, are you doing any podcasts this year for the NFL?
Yeah, well, I'm doing my solo ship with Jam to Win. I think we'll be recording that for the first time tomorrow, and then generally we'll be doing RotoGrinders today with Blender on at 11 a.m.
Oh, good. They have a favorites pod contest. If you're looking for a plus EV contest this NFL season, our guys over there at Action Network, which are a part of us, just a branch of this big tree called Better Collective, their podcast called The Favorites is bringing back their free NFL Pick'em contest this season. Totally free to sign up at favorites.action.com, actionnetwork.com. Maybe TJ will drop a link for us in chat. I don't know. But if you didn't get that, favorites.actionnetwork.com. Just 5 picks against the spread every week. Cash prizes for the top 10 finishers. 40 G's to first place all the way down. Thousands up for grabs. So at the Action Network, The Favorites, a podcast. Everybody's got a good podcast these days. So, here's one of them giving away some good stuff. Get in on that. Let's get back to some questions here, some QQs. Alan. QQ, Rice or Kelsey in a single entry on DraftKings as the captain. Rice or Kelsey, which is the question when you're dealing with Kansas City on any slate, Rice or Kelsey?
I like Rice. I put it in my article. Kelsey's player prop for receiving yards is like 15 to 20 yards less than it was week 2 of last season when which was his first game of the season, lower than about 15 yards lower than it was in the Super Bowl, AFC Championship, the same exact matchup. I think you're going to see, and they leave the talk about taking a little bit of the workload off Kelsey early in the season, making sure he's there, because this is a team that again has Super Bowl aspirations. So, I like Rice.
People forget. And I'm gonna catch some backlash here. People forget Kelsey was basically washed last year. Now he had some good playoff games, He started to show some age last year. You just don't know about the drop off. Plus the whole Taylor Swift thing. Now they're saying that was fake. Maybe it was fake. Maybe he's just heartbroken. I don't know. Maybe he's got things going on, on in his mind, and he can't concentrate tonight. But there's some red flags there. So I don't know. Butthole says Pacheco, or Kelsey. I don't know if that's just captain or if it's just flex, but just those two players head to head tonight. Who you like more?
Pacheco or Kelsey? I'll go Pacheco.
Pacheco over Kelsey. FanDuel has the 100-yard bonus now. I know they have it for the main slate. You have to refresh my memory if it's for Showdown tonight too. Either one of you guys know, TJ or Squirrel. I don't know, but I did see that they had the bonuses now. It's for tonight too. Yeah, does that matter at all to you?
It does. I actually was just thinking about this in the last hour as I was doing my lineups, that it actually makes a little bit of a difference. It makes the kickers and defenses a little bit less valuable, and it also makes me a little bit more inclined to go stars and scrubs than I normally would be, because Patrick Mahomes can get the 300-yard passing bonus. Like, you can see Derrick Henry get the 100-yard rushing bonus, or Isaiah Pacheco. We can, potentially see Lamar Jackson get both, right? 300-yard passing and 100-yard rushing. Maybe that's one of the few players in the league that's even feasible. That makes their potential for scoring a little bit higher. Like, you're probably not going to see Rashad Bateman get the 100 yards. So I think it actually means you should maybe go with those stars a little bit more, and then you're gonna have to afford them. You have to put in some scrubs.
Go bonus hunting on FanDuel now. What do they see here? Okay, Peter Porker, interesting name. Peter Porker, would you play Wallace tonight as a dart? Okay, so it's not just Wallace. We can answer Wallace specifically, but I guess it would be anybody that has like a projection of like 1.5 points or less. How do you feel about guys like that? So talk to me about Wallace, and anybody that low of a projection kind of feels like that you're going to get lucky to get anything out of them. Do you play guys like that?
I try not to. Sometimes I do, depending on the situation. I would make a roster that absolutely makes sense. I think those guys actually get paid a little bit more than you think. And so, but fourth wide receiver does catch a touchdown every once in a while. The issue is you need points out of every roster spot, right? Not just like points per dollar. You need points. And so, like, if Wallace gets a 20-yard reception, you think, wow, that's really good. That's like way more than it is like if he had a receiving yards prop, like more than it would be. But that's still not going to land him, even at like $200. It's not going to land him on the winning roster most of the time, unless some combination of high price players goes absolutely crazy, and Wallace has got to like outscore, like all the other $200 players. So I try to avoid using like the super cheap guys unless they have a defined role.
And then Rob says, what about Nelson Aguilar? He gets a little bit better projection there. So now we're creeping into a guy who actually might do something. What about Aguilar?
Yeah, I mean, I like Aguilar a little bit more. He's a little bit pricier. I'm more inclined to use like Nelson Aguilar. I mean, that's a guy, this is a guy that actually has some first round pedigree. So maybe it's clicking. We don't know what happened on the offseason. But yeah, he should be the starting third wide receiver. So more inclined to use him.
Cubs 62 says, any chance Irv Smith can get a touchdown catch? Well, I think if Irv gives you a touchdown catch, you're probably in the money there. But what do you think about Irv Smith tonight?
Wasn't on my radar. Yeah, I don't even see.
Is he active? He might not be active.
Yeah, he's like third tight end or something.
He was cut like in the final round of cut. So
well, let's see here. I would say Cubs, you don't want to play him, brother.
Yeah,
you don't want to like we just talked about. If a guy is projecting at like 1.5 points or less, which Irv would be projecting at if he wasn't cut in the preseason, I don't know, man. That's just tough. It would have to be like a really weird anomaly of a game for a guy like that to help you out. Any of those kind of guys down there in that range. Hardman, Juju, Carson Steele. I don't know. Takes a lot right there to to get you done with that. How do you feel about Watson and Likely?
Actually, likely a lot. Not to
You
be,
do.
not to make the pun. He's cheap, and I think he's a good young player who just needs a bigger role. And you never know when that bigger role is going to potentially come about. Don't mind Watson either. I prefer Likely if I'm choosing between them, depending on the roster. But Watson might get a little bit overlooked. We don't really know if they're going to throw Xavier Worthy in right away, and maybe Justin Watson's like benefiting from the Hollywood ground injury, and maybe he's a guy that can actually break a slate, because he's a guy that we've seen in these primetime games get like a 70-yard touchdown, and then suddenly at a really cheap price, he's making it onto the winning roster.
Okay. Matt D says something. I think he kind of like says it in jest, but I think it's brings up a good point here. He says NFL has to showcase the new kickoff, so they had to wait till the rain stops. There is a new kickoff in the NFL. A lot of people are going to tune in tonight and be like, what the hell is that? That's not the kickoff I grew up with. It's different. And I'm thinking, while it might not make a difference at all in the actual, like, what happens on the kickoff, the touchdown, the field position or anything, is just going to lessen, head trauma because of the kick. There is a chance that in the preseason, not a single special teams coach really divulged what they want to do with this. And maybe there's some sneaky stuff up their sleeve and they've got some plans, and maybe they exploit this thing early in the season. Defenses might be in play here just to take a shot on some kickoff action here, because it will be a new rule. And man, if they've got something cooking, these are professional coaches. They ought to be able to exploit the rule as much as anybody out there. So we'll see. I think it's plausible, right? Like, it's worth a shot if you're playing for $1 million.
Possible. I always used to make a point of getting the kick returners and then stacking them with the defense in a lineup or two. And then one day I remember Devin Duvernay, it hit, and I'm like, I'm going to win. And neither of them landed on the winning lineup. Yeah, despite the kickoff return touchdown, he might have even been to win the game. It didn't land on the winning lineup. I think same thing with like Xavier Gibson last year in the Jets game. Like, it's happening. It didn't happen.
Yeah. So Dean just pointed out in chat, and refreshed my page. DK pushed the locks back 20 minutes. So you guys got an extra 20 minutes to build some lineups there if you want to. We ain't sticking around for an extra 20 minutes, but we got an extra 20 minutes. But we're going to answer all these questions before we get out of here. But I think the new kickoff is going to be interesting. It might be much ado about nothing, but you never know. There's a smart coach out there somewhere right now just scheming up a way to get an easy touchdown out of a kickoff return at some point this year. And, tonight would be the night to do it against your hated rival. If you're one of these two teams, any sleepers tonight? I don't know. What would you classify as a sleeper, and do you have one tonight, Squirrel?
It's hard to say.
You've mentioned Bateman. I think Bateman would for sure be a sleeper.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and put Bateman as a sleeper, because he's a guy pretty highly drafted, and he hasn't been bad. He's been injured more than bad, but he's healthy this week. So, I think maybe the Derrick Henry effect is that it's opening up passing lanes, right? Like, it's opening up room for these wide receivers. And Bateman, I feel like Bateman's always been a guy that's been a little bit underrated. So, like Rashad Bateman. I'll put him as my sleeper on the Baltimore side. If I've got to think about somebody on Kansas City, you know what? I'll go with Noah Gray. I'll say he was. If everybody remembers, like, the week 1 frenzy last year, so Kelsey was declared out. So we got to get some Noah Gray into our lineups. And then Blake Bell just went and stole our hearts. So I will go, but I think maybe it's the revenge of Noah Gray. I'll go with Noah Gray on the Chiefs side.
Fair enough. Now, don't forget, we're going to do our fill it in the plums later, so don't give too much away already. I forgot about that little bit. We got a good little bit. DK large field tournament. Worthy as a captain? Do you want Worthy captain, Rice or Henry with Pacheco? Rice or Henry with Pacheco, and Worthy as a captain, I believe is what that's saying. So you got Worthy and you got Pacheco, both from KC.
Yeah.
So do you want another KC guy, or do you want Derrick Henry with those KC players.
I'm a little bit down on Derrick Henry. I would go prefer Rice or Pacheco, even a worthy Rice Pacheco combination. I just a little bit down on Derrick Henry, and I also think that the Chiefs just scoring a lot is in play as well. They're the home team. If somebody's going to go, I can see the Chiefs winning in a blowout, maybe more than the Ravens winning in a blowout, if that makes sense. So I'm a little bit more inclined to use some of those key Kansas City pieces, and combine them together more so than I would be taking a bunch of Baltimore guys and stick them together.
Yeah, Steve says he gets the Kelsey workload is limited, but Tay is in the building. I mean, you got to factor in the Tay ratings. I mean, it matters.
Does she want her boyfriend getting hit, clobbered?
Or is it? But is it really her boyfriend? We have to wonder that. We have to wonder that now, Squirrel. There might be a contract involved, and this was all just a bunch of shenanigans for the NFL to drive up ratings. I'm starting to see the vision here. QQ, do you think Worthy dragging defenders downfield? Oh, that's a good one. Do you think Worthy dragging the defenders down the field gets Kelsey more targets? I don't know that you can get Kelsey more targets. He's the target guy since Patrick's rookie season, but it can't hurt, right? If Worthy shows any kind of down the field persistence, can't hurt Kelsey.
We'll see. I'm thinking more about Isaiah Pacheco running lanes. But yeah, we'll see.
Let's see here. September 28th is the breakup date. That's what I've read too in the contract. So we'll see. But now they have to push it back because the contract got leaked.
Okay.
See,
Why? What is September 28th? Is just the date that has been leaked online?
There's an actual contract. You didn't see the contract? No. It's really weird, man. I want to get into it, but it's a breakup contract between those two. And at first it could have been just standard Hollywood stuff, if you guys break up, can't do this and this and that. But then there's an actual date on there saying the breakup will be announced on September 28th. So that made everybody go, whoa. This is all just a shenanigans. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see now. But now that the date's leaked, there's no way they can stick to that. No, there's no way they can break up on the 28th now. So now everybody would know. Can we? Mr. Irrelevant, can I get your thoughts on Likely? But we just gave our thoughts on Likely. It's pretty good. Squirrel likes him quite a bit. Butthole for the win. I agree with that. Start Rashee Rice or Zach Moss in PPR for a season long here.
Sorry, Rice or who? Zach Moss.
Zach Moss. I guess it's season long stuff here.
Oh, PPR. I'd go Rashee Rice by mine.
Yeah, we're here for season long too. And whatever you got, props, whatever you got. Fire off some props here. We'll do some props. QQ DraftKings single entry 2v2. Worthy and Butker or Gray and Pacheco?
Go Gray and Pacheco. As much as I like the kicker, a little bit worried about Xavier Worthy in his first game. I think the talent's there, and just people get so hyped up about every first round rookie wide receiver, and then they just fall off the cliff as soon as the season starts. And then sometimes about week 6, a lot of them start ramping up and having a good year. But everybody's running out to play. By the time everybody's forgotten about them because they were running out to play them week 1 and they underperform.
You always want to say, here comes this guy with 4.2 speed, and they're giving him to Patrick Mahomes, and that's unfair and all. But he hasn't done anything. He hasn't made Sky Moore good. He didn't make Kadarius Toney good. There's a lot of guys that you're just not good. You're not good. We're going to see about Worthy. I think he's all right. I just think he's limited, but he's
of first round wide receiver busts. We think about Justin Jefferson or whatever. We don't think about Jahan Dotson and Quentin Johnson.
Jahan. Yeah,
Nelson Aguilar, right?
Yeah. Let's see. I think we kind of touched on this. Where do you guys draw the line in your player pool when it comes to minimum salary wide receivers and backup running backs? I think it's all a feel for each game, but a night like tonight, where are you drawing the line tonight? Noah Gray at 1.6, projected at a little bit over 4 points. Is that your last guy in your pool?
Oh, just in terms of flex spots, where do I draw the line? Yeah, it's going to be like somewhere around the Noah Gray, Justin Watson area. Did Steele? Yeah, Steele. I'm playing some lines with Carson Steele. Like I think he's in play. I don't want to go overboard, but he's 200, and maybe they're using him as like a goal line. So we don't know. We know less than we think we know. So I think anything's in play. I'm using him in a number of lineups where I realize I got 200. Yeah, his most likely score is 0, but we don't know. So we did see like Clyde Edwards-Helaire go out, and so KC's down a backup running back. So we don't exactly know what the rules are going to be, and anything's in play.
So we got boots on the ground here. Devin Neiman says, I'm 5 minutes from Arrowhead, outside smoking a dart. I would imagine that's a cigarette. I'm not in tune with that. Weather isn't bad. Surprised AF by the late start. So we got boots on the ground. We're going to be good to roll here, guys. We ain't going to get no more bad weather.
Stickers in your lineup.
What are our likes at? Because TJ saying we need like 100 or so likes, and he's going to give out some touchdowns. I don't have a like counter right here, but hopefully we're getting close to that. 150 likes, first touchdown picks at 150 likes. TJ is usually pretty good with that kind of stuff. So get those likes in, guys, so we can knock that out. You guys sticking to any specific DK GPP builds like 3-3-4-2? How you treating it tonight?
I don't do that. I don't do like the builds. I actually do for baseball showdown. Very few times I have to play it. But for football, I let that stuff take care of itself organically. And if I'm doing multiple lineups, then I'm going to end up with some lineups are indicating a blowout on one side or the other, but I'm not like I don't sit there and say I've got to have a certain number of like 5-1 lineups. I have to have a certain number of like 3-3 or anything like that. I just let things take care of itself and try to make some like intelligent rules in terms of like captain and stuff.
Yeah. Well, a game like tonight, I don't worry about it, but some showdowns I look and go, oh man, yeah, that there's a discrepancy there. Let me get some 5-1s in there, and I'll force it. But a game like this, I'm not worried about it. Another question about a cheap wide receiver, Juju tonight. He's another one who's projected super low. Anything for Juju? Any love for Juju coming back to where he won a Super Bowl with these guys?
No, I'm more of a fan of Justin Watson, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't know that I have Juju on in any of my lineups.
Donnie Watson in a 20 max. How many captains would you use for tonight? Are you guys more likely to focus on a few or spread it out? Let's say a 20 max. I can tell you my answer while you think about it. When I get in a 20 max, I pick one captain, and that's all 20 lineups, and then that's that. And so I don't want to spread it. That's not enough for me to spread out. If I'm doing 150, I can sprinkle a little bit more. 20 max, I'm picking one guy, locking in. If he has a good game, I'm going to be in good shape. If he doesn't, so be it.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable way to play it. I would keep it condensed. And in the past, I probably use cheap captains more than I should. Like I don't think you should go down to like kicker captains, defense captains very rarely hit, and you can usually see it coming. It's like some kind of like torrential downpour that's or some super high wind situation, something like that. I would say it's okay to use like a third wide receiver as a captain, or that's about it. Like I'd even shy away if like I think Noah Gray would be a good flex play. I'm not sure I'm running to put him in as captain in like more than a handful of lineups.
Jeffrey just got in. He says, who's your favorite large field GPP captain? So we answer FanDuel. Who's your favorite on DK to refresh him?
It's going to be boring. I'd go with Isaiah Pacheco. And I think I put that in my article that I think this is a situation where the game might be a little bit more boring than we want. And maybe the rain even helps that out a little bit. We've seen the total drop a bit. But what if Kansas City just tries to run the ball? And we saw Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's on the non-football injury list.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to think, well, maybe Pirine, maybe Steele. Maybe it's just a bunch of Isaiah Pacheco. So I'd probably go Pacheco and try to get a little bit different with less.
Worthy or Flowers in captain?
I prefer Flowers. Yeah, he's a good wide receiver.
And then the
Yeah.
follow up to that would be, since you said Flowers, Rashee Rice or Flowers on DK.
I'd go Rashee Rice.
You like you some Rashee Rice tonight, yeah? I'm surprised he didn't get hit with some sort of penalty yet for that whole shenanigans he pulled in the offseason, but we'll see. Apparently, it's not gonna affect him tonight.
Well, I think it can make an impact because people are so into best ball now, right? And everybody's
Yeah.
like thinking for weeks in best ball. Well, maybe he's going to get suspended. Maybe something's going to happen, and then he's not. We're kind of mentally down on him, but there's no reason to be down on him for this week. So yeah, I'd go ahead and put him into the lineup.
Thoughts on Justice Hill? I think he gets 8+ touches tonight. Justice Hill's interesting. There's a couple ways he can get there. He's the pass catching guy more than likely over Derrick Henry. And he always seems to like somehow sneak in a goal line carrier too, no matter who's back there that they've had. So he's interesting. What do you think about Justice Hill?
I don't mind that at all. I actually do think like point per reception format with DraftKings, and he's pretty cheap. I don't think I'd use him in the lineup with Derrick Henry, but yeah, what if Kansas City's down, or sorry, what if Kansas City's taking a lead? Baltimore's got to be passing a little bit. Lamar Jackson's not a guy that throws to his running backs a ton, but the right situation could come up where he's getting 2-3 receptions in a row in garbage time, maybe at the end of the first half. The point per reception that can really add up for like these cheap backup running backs. He does seem to have like this defined role in the passing game, so I don't mind Justice Hill at all.
Is Isaiah likely a play? We covered that one. Isaiah is in play. Squirrel likes him. Mr. Grapefruit says Captain Aguilar. Oof. I don't know.
You know what? I did it in a handful of lineups. I don't think it's crazy. What if one touchdown could be a big deal in this game? If Aguilar is getting a long one, or we're putting together a few receptions and a touchdown.
Maybe they throw him back there. Maybe they throw him back there on a kickoff too. I don't even know who their kickoff returners are. I'd have to research that a little, but never know. Let's see. We want Spidey bombs. Worthy or Bateman?
I think for the ownership, I'm going to like Bateman.
Yeah, Bateman's interesting. Never has lived up to the potential, but you never know. He's had big plays, so all it takes in a showdown, one big play. TJ, you got any first touchdown, whatever? You going to give anything before we jump out of here, and me and Squirrel give our nuts play, whatever, feel it in the plums?
All you guys for the feel it in the plums, because we do not have enough left.
Oh man, you guys, he cut you guys all hardcore. I personally would have gave it to you. I don't even care about the likes, but he said no. All right, we got about 16 minutes to a kickoff, so we're in that borrowed time right now where it would have already been playing. We're going to do the fill it in the plums, play of the night. This is what we do here. I'm going to give him turn it over to Squirrel first. Who is your fill it in the plums, play of the night?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Isaiah Pacheco, and it's a boring pick, but I think it could be a game that's a little bit more boring than people. Everybody wants like fireworks for game one. The two leading teams in terms of scoring defense last year, Baltimore and Kansas City. So I think Pacheco gets a touchdown. I think the game could be lower scoring than we're anticipating. I think everybody wants to talk about the new acquisitions. People want to talk about the guys that are a little bit underpriced. Like Pacheco's just kind of appropriately priced. Home favorite running back who could be getting all the work with his backup now out, or at least his backup that the team is accustomed to now out. So I'm going to go Isaiah Pacheco.
Yes, J3, you are correct. I am a man of the people, and TJ is not. He is a hardo, and you got to get the likes, or he's going to. I'll tell you where I'm going to take. Like this could go I could go all over the board with fill in the plums tonight. There's a lot of guys who I really like, but I'm going to go with some narrative street here. I'm going Zay Flowers, fill it in the plums. He basically cost them the AFC Championship game last year with those fumbles. The one on the goal line was egregious. I think he's felt bad about that all offseason. I think they're going to get him some action here tonight. I'm going Zay Flowers, fill it in the plums, play of the night. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in. We're going to be back, not necessarily us too. But Roto Grind every Sunday, Monday, Thursday. Me and Squirrel will probably be here every Monday. I'll be here every Thursday, Monday and Thursday. So this show is going to be, and it's a chat-driven show. So we appreciate you tuning in with all the questions. We're going to be back on Sunday night for another one. Until then, that was TJ behind the scenes doing the producing for Squirrel. I was your host, Chop. And we're out of here. Enjoy the game.